Hello. I have a written journal for you, and it is from 6:25, and it was the third one of that day. I think the last one, the Mayan day, was 7 Crocodile, and I've got a good number of links in the transcript, so do click over. It'll really enrich your experience to have a look at least some of these. Okay, here we go again. I get that full up sort of feeling, telling me there's a journal coming forward to be written. It is so strange to get that sense, yet without the least sense of what it's about. I continue to find that so odd. Oh well, onward then. What wants to come out? Well, after having a few pretty heavy days, I'm starting to feel energized again. Hey, any energy at all would be an improvement here. I have felt weighted down by just generally heavy energy. Hard to find the words, but it's not important. I'm just glad it's starting to lift. Gosh, and this was back the 25th, and here it is the 2nd. I've been watching myself giving and answering comments on YouTube, and not just on my videos, but on others I watch. I've noticed a new lack of fear. Now, I wouldn't have said before that I had any fear. That sounds crazy, right? Fear around writing comments? Yet, as I watched what I've been saying lately, what I see is a new lack of fear. So clearly there must have been some fear there that I wasn't aware of. Strange how Source sometimes backs us into such things. Overall, we're not so good at seeing the self. So it's good that the planet has lots of other selves running around so we can use them as mirrors. They help reflect us back to ourselves. Besides, it's just easier to spot things in others that are darn hard to see in yourself. Anyway, I'm speaking out, wisely I hope, yet with a good bit more courage than before. I'm finding our comment streams so helpful on my videos. I learn a lot there, both about you and about me. That, and letting go of so many things, old habits, beliefs, and patterns, ways of being. Well, heck, maybe I'm finding myself. I don't know. I'm just more comfortable in my skin. Does that resonate? Do you feel that way too, at least somewhat, or sometimes? I'm finding it a bit easier to be me and to share me. Us hermits are not so well known for the sharing part. Someone's comment laughed at one of my earliest videos, so I went back and listened to me again just to see what their point might have been. Well, I've got to admit, I felt really awkward listening to myself in that one. I realized that back then I was so new to what I was doing, videotaping my personal journals, and that really showed. So the guy was right. I laughed with him. I'm glad, though, that I didn't follow my impulse to delete the video. It's not about being or looking perfect. It's about being transparent and sincere and just sharing your heart. Anyway, that's one thing. But some of the comments I'm making on other people's videos, well, I just wouldn't have made them before. I didn't. I find I've got less hang-ups now. How about you? I think it's from a lot of that letting go we've been doing, or been called on to do anyway, and some of the stuff just gets taken from us and we wake up and it's gone. Strange. Now there's one trap I'm seeing a few people fall into, and that's believing their thoughts. I'd really strongly suggest everyone just quit that, especially now when there's all this sorting out being done. The dark energy is flying like fur in a cat fight. All kinds of old energies, old momentums come up, trying to pull us back into old ways. They usually come up as thoughts at some point. Don't believe. Just because you were always a certain way or you always thought a certain way has nothing to do with now. Nothing. Pitch it. If we can't get some distance from thinking we're this human being here and step up to our light being or soul side, well, my concern is that will keep us down in 3D. When things are surrendered, when we're cut free from various junk, it's important not to pick them back up. It's a little bit like being a smoker or an alcoholic. Once an addict, always an addict. I mean, I don't like saying that, but if you don't respect the power of the old habit, then you're vulnerable to fall right back into it again and again. And I say that because I quit smoking like 11 or 12 times before I realized you can't just have one cigarette. You can't just have one pack or one puff. You know, the way I was successful was just to realize, you know, and do it like the Alcoholics Anonymous thing. It's unfortunate because it often seems to wipe out all this good effort we made to break free. And it tempts us into feeling helpless again. Yet, if we just be watching, be self-observant, well, we'd see how this always starts with us believing a thought. Just one thought, if believed, can lead us in a very unfavorable direction. Then the momentum or the power of the old habit kicks in, and there we are, stuck yet again, or thinking we're stuck. See, that's the thought you don't want to believe. And it's all so unnecessary. Do you see? If we would just step away from being so convinced that we're the human here, we'd have enough distance on the situation to have clearer vision. We'd be able, or better able, to spot the challenge creeping up on us. We'd be alert. Yet, with our focus on the world, instead of turned inward on self, we're vulnerable to such things. We're distracted. We're not really being ourself. We're in the matrix instead, sleeping along. We lost the now. It's really quite easy to step out of that old role. You know you're ready to move on. We all are. Yet no one is going to do this for you or for me. It's all on you, on your use of choice and free will. Largely as a society, we're addicted to hanging out in left brain, in the calculating mind. This is one of those things that needs to be surrendered to take the next step. If we can't step back and get some distance from the mind, I fail to see how we can successfully move on. This is the best, the very finest time ever designed for moving into higher consciousness. We've got the wind in our sails with all the pressure and movement into higher frequency floating around. So much of it, I suspect, carried on the rays of the sun. We're practically being carried on into heaven, friends. Sure, it gets a lot difficult for a few days now and then, but it does that for all of us, so we're not alone. It's got very much to do with our personal answer to the question, who am I? If you're not pursuing your very best, truthful answer to that one, well, like I say, no one's going to come along and do this for you. Take your tests. Answer your questions. It's time to quit looking for or waiting for help or rescue and just step up to the plate. It's time for us to take charge of our own life. So, who are you, really? Seriously, down at your very core, who are you? What makes you tick? What makes you different from everyone else? What drives your passions? What lights your fire? Joseph Campbell used to say, follow your bliss. Well, what is your particular bliss? What brings you joy? Spend some time with this. Do you love you? Truly love the self? Or do you just give it lip service, knowing that underneath you really don't know what that means? A lot of people are doing that, thinking they can just blend in with the crowd and let that momentum carry them along. Well, it always worked before. That's what they're thinking. It won't work this time. Those days are gone. We're bringing in a brand new day and age and energy. It's different. The rules are changing right out from under us. Everything that used to work, well, that seemed to work anyway, all of that is somehow falling apart. All of the old ways are just breaking down. They weren't founded on honor and integrity. There was very little of truth to be found in our whole society. Those waking up are being faced with this now. Are you running away from recognizing it? Or are you willing to face the reality? Waking up hurts like hell, at least at times, and sometimes even for long stretches. Still, they do end, and brighter times take their places. Have you noticed? I have. We're getting stronger and stronger in our inner core and living from that. It's getting easier somehow to be who and what we really are, to be true to that. Now, those who are trying to take this ride while hanging on to things, well, they're not going to make it like that. Either they'll finally have to drop what they're desperately trying to hang on to, or they'll just have to wait for the next train. They won't make this one all encumbered and burdened down with things of the past. This is the bullet train, super fast, with room for essentials only. This is no old-timey freight train we're on. It just depends on who you are and what you're doing. If you don't make these deep decisions for yourself, you'll find that life will do that for you, and you may not like the outcome. I think it's best to step up to the plate and find yourself. Make your own decisions rather than just stumbling into them. That's the old way. All that's good and beautiful and true about you, there's plenty of room for that. The old baggage, though, all the old habits and accumulations of the ages, that has to go, including all of our fears. Like it or not, we'll be facing our fears, my friends. They've got to go, so they'll be arising whether we want them to or not. It's just part of this sorting out process. No room for fear, anger, and hatred on this train. It's the rising frequency and vibration. It's a physics thing, you know. It's no judgment or anything like that. We have all sorts of vague prejudices, too, that we can expect to come up. You might be tempted to feel besieged, like the world or God or something is out to get you, like you really messed up. Well, now that would be mind's analysis of things, and mind isn't qualified to have an opinion on this one. Heck, it's mind you're in the process of letting go. Have you noticed that yet? You're not your mind. Did you know? No, you're a bright and shining being of light, of energy. You're not the mind or the body at all. You don't even need them. And furthermore, they don't contain you. You contain them. Step up. Well, if you aren't them, if you don't even need them, then what are you doing letting them make all your decisions for you? Does that make good sense? I don't think so. Back off a few steps. Have a look. Put yourself in life review stance, NDE style. Now, look at whatever it is that's giving you the hardest time. How does it look from that very flexible perspective of yours, standing there at your life review? Will any element of that thing, whatever it is, make it past the pearly gates? I thought not. Mostly not. All of those things that body and mind hold to so dearly are literally nothing to the being you are, to the soul. They are simply nothing. When will we look up and face the fact? What are we waiting for? Until it's too late? Seriously, are you waiting for rescue, for someone to come in and save the day? Take a very good look at that. It won't be happening. Then what? Life, as usual, won't be going on for much longer now. It has a very short shelf life. I'd give it no more than the next, I wrote down 2 to 3 years. I'd say 3 to 5 years. If you start right now, that gives you some good time to back away and commence or get serious about a whole lot of letting go. It's time to revision the self, only this time to get in underneath and contact the soul. Find yourself. You are important. You're not meant to ride the train into nowhere half asleep. That just won't do. You may have forgotten, but your higher self knows. There are certain peculiar gifts you brought to the show here. Gifts that simply and literally no one else has. We're counting on you. Now, the truth is that someday you will definitely wake up, so overall, you've got nothing to worry about, much less fear. While that is the case, don't you think it would be so much nicer to grab yourself by the collar and give a good shake and wake yourself up right now? The choice is ours, now or later. What's it to be? You have a whole huge cheering squad in higher dimensions there. Can you feel, can you hear them rooting for you? You've got some serious help standing by, but what can they do if you won't turn off the damn tube? The boob is not the tube, you know. Hello. And I'm talking to myself here about the internet. I just have it going all the time. Earth to you, earth to you. Are you in there? Or are you still out to lunch? If you're still chasing anything like the American dream, you're losing it. Get a grip. Find your real self. It's in there. It's been there all along, but not you. Where have you been? The biggest thing you could likely do for the self just now is to turn your vision away from the world. Let that go. For a little while, you can check it out again later. Turn your vision within. Focus on self. Only self for now. Leave everyone and everything else alone. Let the others run their own lives. That's none of your business, really. Didn't you know that already? Sure you did. You just forgot, right? You see, there's nothing out there for you. Nothing at all. Not one single thing. The world has nothing for you simply because the world isn't real. It's only an illusion that there's anything else at all but you here. The whole entire world, complete, resides within you. What you see out there is strictly your creation. Well, with a little help from the community mind. Don't judge it. Just watch. No criticizing. None of that stuff. We're letting go of that, right? That's fun to let go of. Only be empty and watch. Let go of the whole concept of right and wrong and replace it with is. Only that. Is. It's enough. It is what it is. No more, no less, just is. Now, your job is to watch. Seriously, just watch. Observe yourself. Watch what you do, what you say, how you feel, all of it. And don't edit yourself or try to change anything at this point. Not your job, remember. Just watch. Mind will object. Screw mind, Tell it to shut up. Put the dunce cap on it for a little while. Now, this sounds easy, but really, it's usually not. And there's one good reason for that. I'll let you tell me what it is, though. I'm not filling in all the blanks for you. You've got to get yourself in gear, and I can't do that for you. So, you watch, and then come back into the comments and tell me what the biggest challenge turns out to be. Let's give it a week. No answering comments on this one for a week. Put your comments in there. I'll come back in a week and answer. In that time, you can come to the one thing, the one common denominator that gives you the hardest time. Let's see if it's what I think it to be. So, you tell me. Good day. I wanted to add a little PS to tell you about the links that I have in the transcript, since I didn't mention them in the writing. What they are is some links to help pretzel your mind and help you step back and drop some of the attitudes and ideas you have about life. One of them is called Matter Does Not Exist, in 3 minutes and 23 seconds. Check it out. Another one is a half hour with Jasmuheen. She doesn't need to eat, and she lives on love, and she's been doing it for a long time. I'm sure we all think we have to eat, and so this is to challenge beliefs. Perhaps certainly one of my favorite videos of all time, The Primacy of Consciousness. Peter Russell is a physicist, and he's saying matter isn't the primary substance. Consciousness is. That one's an hour. And then finally, Byron Katie, The Story of the One. And that one's an hour. And this is what being awake looks like. And believe me, friends, it doesn't look like most of us right now. And it's rather shocking to see it. And she'll stun you again and again with the way she responds to things. So these are some tools to help with the stepping back. And I'm sure they will. You don't have to watch all of them, but maybe at least 2 of them. Good day.